Hello and welcome back to the Jessica Pinelli podcast. We have a guest on today's episode. Welcome, Francesca.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Why don't you explain to everyone who you are? Because I've had a stalk of both your TikTok and your Instagram. You are a woman of many talents. You share a lot.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm originally from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I've been in Florida for about 6 years now, four and a half in Tampa, and I just moved to Miami, Florida this year in March. As far as background, I was never a fitness health girly. I was actually the opposite. I hated working out, I hated fitness, all of that kind of stuff. But about 4 years ago now, I decided to come off of birth control. And I've always had acne my whole life. And obviously, when I came off birth control, it just went 10x. And so that's when I kind of got into what I do now, which is beauty, acne, hormone health, holistic health. I got licensed as a holistic nutritionist. I got licensed in skincare science and formulation. I was really just kind of forging my own path on trying to figure out how to heal my skin, how to heal my hormones, and that kind of just snowballed into a career and kind of building those pages out. I do a little bit more of my fun lifestyle stuff on Instagram, but majority is really just trying to give resources to women and insight to women on like what is going on with our bodies. None of this stuff is like it's common, it's not normal. And I think a lot of women just get trapped in that idea of like, oh, this is what it is, and this is what we do, and that's just it. So yeah, that's kind of like where I am now as far as my career and being in the skincare beauty space, women's health space, all of that. And so I've been loving it so far.
I completely resonate. I think I came off the pill maybe 4 years ago now as well. And
Yeah.
I was exactly the same. That's why I really resonated with the content that you're sharing on your TikTok, because that was exactly me. My skin flared up and it was like I was my 16-year-old self again. And because I had started the birth control pill when I was 15 and a half, 16. So it's quite literally like my body. Now, context for everyone, I'm 31. So back mid 20s, I was going through puberty again. It's insane. And
Yeah.
so I would love for you, because this is definitely a topic I've wanted to bring on the podcast. What happened after coming off birth control for you? What were the side effects for you? What did you start to experience? Was it all of a sudden or did it take a while?
Yeah, so most of the time we're put on birth control for two reasons, really. Is A, we want to use it as a contraceptive and we tell our parents that we want to use it for our period cramps, or B, women are prescribed it for hormonal acne. So at the time, when I came off of it, I was already on it for 10 years. So what a lot of women don't know, and obviously we're not told, is birth control is the biggest hormone disruptor there is because it takes synthetic hormones and places them into the body. And so it depletes us of so many vital nutrients, minerals, trace minerals. So when I came off of it, my next period, immediately, it was like I was 15 again. I was in so much pain. It was so painful. And the side effects, whether it was headache, fatigue, exhaustion, the actual period cramps, the cravings, and then, of course, my skin. Something else that no one tells us is that birth control depletes our libido.
Mm.
So you don't feel anything. You kind of are just very like going through the motions. And I think that's what really got me was I felt so not like myself. Obviously, after so many years of being on the pill, I had cramps and PMS minor, but they were obviously much better because they were being masked by, the synthetic hormones. But it came back full force. I had like people call it like the period flu, where it's like you kind of have a fever, you feel sick, you don't really know. And so that they were immediate. Like I came off of it, let's say I came off of it right after a period, and by the next period, 3 weeks later, I was off of it and it was full throttle. Every PMS symptom you can think of was back.
I think I was exactly the same. And it's so confronting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're doing this good thing for your body. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, look at how my body is reacting. It's insane. And
Yeah.
I just want to go back and touch on the two reasons we do go on it, right, is yeah, for hormonal acne or as contraception. And we get sold that. And I was definitely sold it and prescribed it for contraception. Can we talk about the implications now if someone's on it or if someone is deciding to go on it? What are the implications of using it as contraception or even using it to help with your acne?
Yeah. So with that, it's a double-edged sword. I will say, just to preface, the only exception I have for birth control is women with PCOS temporarily. I still don't think it's a long-term solution, but sometimes they need it as a crutch to kind of figure out where to go from there. But let's say for hormonal acne, right? The reason that women get hormonal acne is because a hormone in their body is imbalanced, whether that's cortisol, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. And so using synthetic hormones to try and heal your real hormones, when you say it out loud, literally doesn't make sense, right? And so what happens is, because I used to own a skincare consulting business where I would help clients heal their acne holistically. And the biggest thing that people would come back to me and say is, I came off the pill and now my skin is freaking out again. And I'm like, of course it is, because it was a temporary solution to a problem. It didn't help the actual root cause of why your hormones are being imbalanced. And some of that is just puberty, being 15 and going through puberty. But again, we're never taught how to cycle sync or how to balance our hormones or what our cravings mean, right? I always tell people, everyone says, I need chocolate and I need salt. I'm like, your brain is telling you need chocolate, but your hormones are telling you that you need quality sugar, agave, coconut sugar, all of those healthy sugars. But in our brain, we were taught, like, yeah, you need a sweet treat, you need a brownie, you need a cookie, but it makes it worse because the sugar is bad. It's not good sugar. And so I would say for that reason, you are always going to end up in the same place or worse because of what the synthetic hormones do to the body. What birth control depletes the body of is so hard. And sometimes, if you're on it for a long time, there is no naturally getting those things back. You will have to then supplement for those deficiencies in some cases. As far as contraceptive, there's non-hormonal contraceptive. The only one, if I can go back and do birth control again, I would go with a copper IUD if my body could handle the amount of copper. You'd have to get tested first. It's non-hormonal. There's zero synthetic hormones in a copper IUD. They do the same thing, except no side effects of obviously the synthetic hormones. So contraceptive, yes, or obviously there's like the diva cups and things like that. Some people get grossed out with that kind of stuff, but I would much rather be grossed out knowing what I know now than go back and put synthetic hormones into the body. I don't think there was enough information when we were, in that realm where our parents didn't know enough. But for those two things, there's so many alternatives that save the body long term, especially like you and I'm 28. When you get in your late 20s, then you have to worry about fertility. You have to worry about all of those other things that you didn't know about back then. So with those two, that's what I would say.
What is exactly for everyone listening, what exactly gets depleted in the body when you are on birth control? Can we talk
Yeah,
about that?
so any trace minerals or vitamins, so like vitamin B12, vitamin E, vitamin D, those little minerals that sometimes people will supplement, they're getting depleted, or zinc. The biggest reason usually is a progesterone, testosterone, or estrogen imbalance. So 99% of the time, when women come off birth control, they're estrogen dominant because they were depleted in everything else. And so then it's kind of like where women go to is, well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm depleted in. So I'm just going to take a bunch of supplements and hope that it figures itself out. It never does, because you can't treat what you don't know. And so that's why I'm so big into functional testing after coming off of birth control, because takes the guessing out. If you just test, no longer guessing, and you have that tailored plan to get your body back in balance, versus because there are toxic levels of supplements. If you are not deficient in vitamin B12 and you are taking too much B12, it can actually cause acne, or it can cause other adverse side effects because you're taking so much that it hits a toxic level of that vitamin. And so from experience of just listening to every influencer that said, take this, do this, do this, eventually when my acne wasn't getting better, I'm like, okay, something I don't know is happening and I need to go test myself to then figure it out. And once I did that, that was like the game changer. And so I think it's different for everyone, but it's always going to be those little trace minerals or vitamins, and then either progesterone, estrogen, testosterone for the bigger ones when you come off.
I was exactly the same as you. In the first year, my skin flared up. It was the worst I'd ever seen it. And it's debilitating when you don't have skin. You come from not having skin problems, not having acne, your skin being clear to all of a sudden. And I've seen your pictures on TikTok, and my skin was very, very similar. And it just completely flared up to stalking everything and everyone, every influencer, taking all these supplements, kind of self diagnosing, and
Yes.
nothing made it better. And I remember I was probably a year on, I met a lady who does what you do at an event here where I live. And I was speaking to her, and she said, well, have you actually been tested for, your zinc levels, B12, all of that? Because I was taking these supplements. And I was like, everyone on the internet is saying that these are going to
Uh-huh.
work. She's like, I can guarantee that either the strain you're taking probably has too much in it, or you don't even need that. And that's probably why your skin is getting worse, in fact. So
Yeah.
let's speak to, I guess, following advice online. If someone is struggling, they've come off birth control, they're struggling with hormonal acne or just overall hormonal acne,
Mhm.
what's the next steps? What should we do if we feel like we've tried everything? We've tried every hack, every skincare product, every skincare mask. What should we do?
Yeah, so the first thing I always tell people is when you come off birth control, well, let me preface. There's no reason to get your hormones tested when you are on birth control. People are like, I'm gonna get my hormones tested. I'm like, does not matter because they're fake hormones. So it's not
Mm,
gonna get you read anyway. So I wait 30 days from the time you come off to get your hormones tested. Most of the time, immediately that will tell you where to go from there. What's low, what's high, what's deficient. Now, if that isn't in the cards, because functional testing, of course, is not covered by insurance.
mm.
So everything is out of pocket. And so sometimes that's not in the cards immediately for people. So the next thing I tell them to do is cycle sync. And the biggest thing I've seen with women is that we don't eat enough protein. When I started eating 30 to 40 grams of protein a meal, it was like my life changed forever. The order in which we eat food, like pancakes, waffles, avocado toast, oatmeal, is not breakfast. That is all sugar and carbs, no protein. And
Mm.
so those little changes make a vast, vast difference in how your skin reacts, how your body reacts. Same thing with, I tell women, which is like the biggest one, is coffee. Coffee alone doesn't cause acne. Two things. It's either A, what you're putting in it, syrups, sugars, etc., or B, the order in that you're drinking it. Most women wake up and immediately drink coffee,
That used to
right?
be me. That used to be me
Same,
straight away, first
same.
thing in my
I used
stomach.
to literally
Yep.
pin my eyes open and I'm like,
Coffee.
coffee.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the problem with that is A, when we wake up, we're the most dehydrated. We also just quote unquote fasted for 8 hours while we were sleeping. Coffee is a diuretic. So it not only dehydrates you more, but without food, you spike your cortisol and then you spike your blood sugar, which are two hormones that lead to hormonal imbalance. And so it's not that nobody could ever have a coffee. I have coffee every day, but it's the order in which I have it that makes the difference in what I put in it. Um,
I really
and so
like, sorry, I just want to point out, I really like that you said, because I feel that there is so much on the internet, especially TikTok, where it's like, just eliminate coffee and caffeine from your diet. And there was a period in time where I was consuming that, and I was like, is it like, I love coffee? I was like,
yeah,
is this really what I have to do? So I think that's really important to point out. It's like, it's not what's causing your acne, it's when you consume it and how you're consuming it. That's what changed the game for me as well.
yeah, I was like, if acne is the real reason, then I will have acne because I'm not
Yeah.
giving up.
That
There's
is
no
so
way.
true. That is so true.
Like,
I was like, I'll have
there's,
acne. I'll cover it up with
yeah,
foundation. I don't care.
there's a lot of things that I will give
Yep.
up, but like that, and I was like, there's just no way that one
Yeah. Yeah.
drink is causing my acne to be this bad. Like,
Yeah.
um, and so those are the things. It's like cycle syncing is huge. It
Yes,
takes
let's go
work.
into that. Let's go into that because this is something that I've only learned recently, and I say probably the past year and a half. And I think it is insane how we as women are not taught this. And now being in my 30s and having friends around me, and we all know it, it's craziness that this
Yeah.
isn't taught to us. It's craziness that life gets so much better when you learn what is happening with your cycle and what to expect. I cycle sync my business of when I'm creating
Yeah.
content, when I'm editing, when I have slower days. And I think it's one of the most insane things that we don't get taught. So let's go into that because that is so important. And if anyone's listening and they don't know what cycle syncing is, can you just give a brief description and its importance?
Yeah. So first of all, if you don't know what it is, most women don't know what it is because
Mm,
just like you said, we're never taught what it is. So cycle syncing is basically syncing your life, your diet, your exercise with the stages of your cycle, which are menstrual, ovulatory, follicular, and luteal. And so, again, if you don't know what they are, that's okay because we're never taught anything other than ovulating for pregnancy or menstruating for having a period.
mm,
Follicular and luteal are kind of like foreign terms to a lot of people. And so, things to note is when you're in your luteal, which is right before your period, your menstrual, a lot of things happen in the body. For example, your progesterone is getting ready to not like drop a little, drastic drop, which is why people say, oh, you must be on your period because you're
mm,
moody, you're this, you're that. Just knowing that there's a reason for that is enough. Like, I think a lot of the things that get pinned on women for having their period is like people make fun or think it's funny or think it's like dramatic. Like, no, chemically, literally,
mm,
things are going on that cause our mood to be unstable and go up and down because the drastic drop in progesterone. Another thing that happens on our period that you can prep for in your luteal is you lose so much iron in your menstrual. And so something that I do is right in my luteal, I'll start having grass-fed beef, sweet potatoes, things that can kind of amp up my iron so when it drops, it's not such a drastic drop, right? People will text me and be like, I have cramps so bad, it's day one, what do I do? I'm like, well, did you have any steak and eggs? Did you have any red meat? Did you have any sweet potatoes? Did you have any tea? And they're like, no, 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 no. I'm like, your body literally is losing them. And once you replenish them, it goes a lot smoother. Another thing that I learned is we were always taught use a heating pad, use a
mm,
heating pad, use a heating pad for your cramps. The reason for that is because in your luteal, the phase before, your body is prepping for either A, the egg to drop and not be pregnant, or B, to be pregnant, but it doesn't know yet. And so it's prepping the womb. And then when we obviously start menstruating, it realizes, okay, not pregnant. The reason that we get cramps and the reason that we say heating pad is because the womb is supposed to be kept warm for a baby. So when you have teeth, it helps because it's warming the womb. Heating pad helps because it's warming the womb. So every single time I have my period, day 1 through 4, I will have 2 to 3 teas a day because it keeps my cramps at bay. I no longer get breakouts. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm getting my period unless obviously I'm looking at my tracker because I
mm,
don't have any symptoms anymore. It's just like there. And so cycle syncing is really to help nourish your body, to help kind of keep stable the PMS, your period, the side effects of all of that stuff. And so what I get from women is it's just a lot. It's a lot to
mm.
keep up with. And it is. It is a lot at first, but I promise you when you get it down, your life becomes so much better. I'm with you. Same thing with like my workouts or the type of work I do. The first few days of my period, I'm laying low. Like
Mm,
I'm literally laying down, I'm laying low, I'm not doing heavy cardio because that's not where my body is right now. Um, last few things that are just like things that are popping in is in your luteal, the rate at which we sweat increases. The rate in which we have excess oil production increases. So in your luteal, that is when you want to use those stronger acne products because your skin is producing more oil, you're sweating at a faster rate. And so that's where you see people say, I break out a week before my period, or I break out a couple days before my period. It's because the body has increased the rate in which it produces sweat and sebum. And so it's like all these crazy little things, but when you start to look at it, you're like, wait, that is actually what's happening.
mm,
When I started treating this stopped happening. And so you don't have to do it all at once. If you were to pick one, I would say focus on the luteal phase first, because that's the phase right before your period where most people have the most symptoms: acne, PMS, lethargia, fatigue, exhaustion, things like that. And so it will change your life. There is a world where you don't have debilitating period cramps. And
mm,
I know we were taught like, oh, take Midol, like it's normal. It really isn't. Like to have cramps to the point where you can't get off the toilet, where you feel nauseous, where you can't walk is not normal. It's
mm.
common, but not normal at all for it to be that way. And so cycle syncing, I think, is the way, if you don't go functional testing, is the way to really start to see results quicker rather than later.
Let's go through the other phases. What would you recommend to put into your diet in the other phases? What would you recommend when it comes to moving your body?
Yeah. So something that a lot of women also don't like is that exercise, as annoying as it is, exercise releases trapped hormones, excess hormones in the body. And so when we don't move, those trapped hormones stay and then they build versus sweating releases excess hormones. It doesn't need to be going to the gym. It doesn't need to be a hard cardio. It can be Pilates. It can be yoga. It can be going for a walk. It can be anything, but sweating is so important for all phases. All four, you should be exercising depending on what cycle. Usually we have 3 days out of the month, which is when we're ovulating, that we are the most confident, we're feeling good. That is when I would do those hard hit workouts or long runs or cycling or swimming, whatever you guys do.
Mm,
Other than that, you can kind of play with how you want to work out. Like I am 99% of the time Pilates 6 days a week, and that is okay for me.
mm,
Usually when I'm ovulating, I'll go for like a run just because it's a little bit harder on the body. It helps release, and I feel good enough to do it. But fitness and exercise is not like a negotiable when you're trying to heal your hormones because it's a way that your body releases. It also helps detoxify the liver. And so sometimes our hormonal acne may not necessarily be from like estrogen. It may be from something within the body or the gut, stress, cortisol, thyroid. Those are all taken care of through diet and exercise. And I know that's like such a boring, yeah, I know answer, but when you take it seriously, it will
mm,
change. Things to add in to the diet in other phases would be a lot of sweet potatoes, a lot of protein, a lot of greens. So like whether it's broccoli, whether it's spinach, whether it's kale, whether it's chard, um, really, really nutrient dense foods will be enough. You don't need to have like 7 cups of broccoli at dinner. Like that's absurd. When you have them enough every day, your body will start to store them and then it will kind of be this stable thing. But I also want to preface, like, yes, you have to kind of give up some things in the beginning of cycle syncing, but once you get it down, like, I still eat pizza,
mm,
I still have French fries and, chicken nuggets, I still have pasta. Like, it's not like you have to give up things you love, but you do want to alter it a little bit because you'll feel better. And so that's worth it. When you start to eat things and you're like, wow, whew, okay, I feel good, I feel better, you'll naturally be more inclined to kind of veer away. But I just want to put that out there. Like, you never
mm.
have to stop eating something forever. Like, you can have ice cream, you can have pizza. It's just like I said, in the order that you eat it, when you eat it, and then really the ingredients kind of thing. Um, but there's so many resources, free resources where people will give you like nutrition lists or grocery lists or just kind of break down in each cycle what's the best type of food. But I would say start with one and kind of build upon that. But the biggest thing is like you have to have patience. You know,
Mm.
so many women are like, when am I going to see results? I'm like, well, you were on synthetic hormones for 10 years, so it's going to take a second. Like people ask me how long it took me, like 8 months to a year to
Mm.
really have consecutive, consistent periods and all the things that didn't make me break out, didn't make me have cramps, etc.
I think after I started to cycle sync and learn more about my body and got tested for what I was actually low in, I would say
Yeah,
probably a year. And then my skin started to clear up and I started to be balanced with my hormones. And I agree, I started to learn the phases and what when I started to drop and when I needed to eat more and when I needed to
yeah,
do less with my workouts. And I think that sometimes as women, we're in this position where we're go, 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 do things all the time and we can do everything. And yeah, we absolutely can. But I think nothing will change your life. Like when you were speaking, I'm like, yes, yes, yes to this. Nothing will change your life like cycle syncing. Nothing
yeah.
will change your hormones. Nothing will change your mood. Nothing will change your body. And everything like that like cycle syncing. And I think it's so important for us to learn. Now, if someone's listening and they either can't be bothered or they are already in a routine of doing hectic workouts. I know that there are women out there that are in their 30s and they're doing a HIIT workout every single day of their life and they're constricting their calories, and I want you to speak to those women. Why is it so important to get on board with this?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is when you are doing rigorous exercise all the time, even when a lot of women start their running journey, there does come a point where rigorous exercise like that can have the adverse effect and also disrupt your hormones. Because at some points, your body is just not producing enough to be able to stabilize what you are going through, whether it's that HIIT workout, a long run, but also when you are constricting calories, there is sometimes where again, your body needs the extra nutrients, your body needs the extra, whether it's carbs, whether it's protein, whether it's whatever. And so I get it to an extent of like if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to, whatever, but I have some friends that used to do bodybuilding and like their hormones are so messed up because it's so you eat so much and then you just cut it off and then you cut what they call it. And now you're restricting so much that your hormones are like, wait, what is going on? Why don't we have enough of this? We just had an overabundance. Now we don't have enough. And then you get thrown off again. And that's where you see women say, I haven't had a period in 3 months. I'm like, that is not okay.
Mm.
Like, that's not, again, common, sure, normal, no. And so, or a lot of women will skip like the last week of their birth control so they don't get a period. It is so dangerous for the
Why is it
body
dangerous?
because the menstrual is what is part of the body's biological process of releasing the egg, releasing the iron, releasing the excess, whatever, because you're not pregnant. And so all of those hormones that are supposed to be released on a monthly basis every 21 to 30 days, depending on your cycle, when that doesn't happen, your body is now getting used to not releasing those hormones, not understanding, wait, are we pregnant? Are we not? What are hormones supposed to be doing? And a lot of women, when they don't have periods for long periods of time, have a hard time getting pregnant because now you're messing with your fertility process in medical world. They call it the fertility process. Having a menstrual cycle is part of that because that's your body saying, okay, we're not pregnant. We need to release this stuff. And then in another month, if we are, it may be different. But if we're not, we're going to do the same thing again. And so you'll see that in a lot of runners or a lot of women who do very rigorous workouts 7 days a week. And sometimes you almost feel like they have this sense of pride of like, oh, I haven't had a period, like that's amazing. And it's not prideful because it's not healthy.
Yeah,
And so,
can we like just
yeah,
emphasize for everyone listening, like it is not normal not to get your period, because I
no,
agree with you. I see it as well, where it's, yeah, almost this pride, like very happy I'm not getting my period, whether you are doing hit workouts 7 days a week, you're a runner, you're competing, it's not
yeah,
normal. It's not normal. And also, I want to highlight what you said a few moments ago as well, having excruciating pains where you were stuck on the toilet. I agree. It's not
yeah,
normal. And I know that's probably going to be a little bit confronting for people who are listening and maybe are experiencing this, but it is not normal. And I'm so happy that you brought that up, because I believe in society it's been normalized. It's
yeah,
been normalized to not do anything and to have these excruciating, painful cramps that we can't absolutely function. And, I still have people in my life who go through that. And I said that, that's not normal. You need to do something about that.
yeah,
And yeah, of course, like I think back, I think to my last period, and I think, day one, yeah, I'm bleeding heavier and yeah, I'm a bit crampy,
right.
but I can still function. Should you
Yep.
be resting? Should you be taking? Of course, but you can still function. And I agree with you. If you are at the point where you can't even leave your toilet or your bathroom because it's that bad, and I'm sure you would agree, like something's up. Go figure out what that is.
Yeah, I also think too, and maybe this is just like as you get older, but as I've gotten older, like part of having a period like connects you to
Yes.
being feminine
Yes.
and connects you to like that is a natural part of like being a female, right? Obviously, we bring life into this world and we create babies in our bellies and all of this stuff. And so, when you have periods that you really notice are there, you start to feel connected to more of a feminine energy. And I understand why people skip the last week, not because they don't want to have it, but because the pain that it brings. And I
Mm,
get that. But if it's that painful, then something is imbalanced. That's why it's so painful because on a norm, I forget that I even have my period until obviously I need to go to the bathroom, blah, blah, blah. But there's no real signs anymore. And so I think if you're someone who's like, I wanna, not have it, it's usually because it's painful
mm,
and it's an inconvenience. But at the end of the day, like that is a biological system that should be working every 21 to 29 days, like clockwork. Or even when people say, are you regular? Some people are like, no, one day it comes, 1 month it
mm,
comes this day, 1 month it comes this day, one day it's 3 days, one day it's 10 days, one day it's like so heavy, one day it's barely there. I'm like, again, it's not going to be identical every time, but it should be pretty much calculatable. And if it's not, it's because something is in balance that you should want to figure out because it affects so many areas of our body besides our cramps, but our brain fog, our fatigue, our thinking, our creativity, our mood, our reaction to things. Like for all the girls out there, when your boyfriend say like you're crazy, like
mm,
you are not. You're literally biologically just going through so many hormonal changes. And just to preface, just so all you women know, men reset every day. They wake up, their testosterone is 100. They go to bed, it's low. They wake up, boom, right back to 100. That's why you hear like morning wood
mm.
because testosterone is immediately replenished. You guys, we never have that.
Isn't
Like
that
3 days.
insane that they
It's
reset in 24 hours? I've shared this with my partner. I'm like, you just reset in 24 hours. I have to go like 30 days and I'm reset.
yeah, like really ovulating those 3 days are our only like best feeling days. And so 3 days out of every month, we're like, yes, we're sexy, we love you. And then the other days we're like, I need you to stop breathing next to me
Don't
because
look
I'm
at
gonna
me.
you. Yeah. And so just know that, and I think a lot of partners, guys, don't realize that either. But like once my boyfriend started really learning and understanding, he understood like, okay, you're going through, this chemical imbalance or this hormonal imbalance right now. So this is what you need. And like it's funny because there's days where I'm like koala bear, and then there's days where I'm like, everything you're saying is literally making me boil. And like obviously I don't say that, but like that's real feelings that you guys should know is like it's okay. That's normal. Obviously, how you react to it is different, but the actual feeling is normal. And I think that really helped me understand like, okay, this is why, because my progesterone just literally fell off a cliff. And that's why I feel this way. That makes sense. So just those little things that kind of help the process of like, you're not crazy, it's okay. This is what's happening inside the body, but there's so much power in knowing what is happening inside the body that makes you feel so good.
And I advocate if you have a partner who is a guy, get them on board, teach them.
Oh,
Teach
100%.
them what is happening with your body. I think that's been one of the game-changing things in my relationship is educating my boyfriend on understanding where I'm at with my body and what those phases look like. I think that's important so they understand you as well.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Usually when most guys actually like sit down, they're like mind blown.
Yep.
They're like,
Yep.
hey, really? I'm like, yes, you understand now what is happening. And they're like, so I think it just takes a little more education
Mm.
on letting them know. But first, like, if you don't know and your partner doesn't know, I think a lot of women, when they find out, they're like, oh my God, how did I not know this? Like, there's no shame around not knowing and then knowing. A lot of us were 10 years into birth control before we were like, oh, wait, this is horrible for our body. We shouldn't be doing this. And I also think dermatologists hand out birth control like candy, and that doesn't help either. Like, I've never gone into a dermatologist and they were like, how's your sleep? How's your diet? How's your stress?
Mm.
Like, never. They were like, okay, well, here you go. Try this. And you do because they're in a white coat and you just listen to whatever the doctor says. And so I think a lot of women are advocating for themselves now and they're weighing more options before jumping into something like that. Um, but a lot of people, even on my TikTok, are like, my acne's so bad, like I'm just gonna go back on it. I'm
Mm.
like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I literally respond, I'm like, no, please, like, there's so many other things you can do besides that. And the scary thing is like now they sell birth control over the counter. Like you
Yeah.
can walk into a Target and just like pick up birth control. And I'm like, that's even scarier because you don't even know what's in that. Like, I haven't done research into that.
That's
Too much.
crazy. I have
Yeah,
heard that's happening in the States. In Australia, I don't think that's a thing yet. And touch wood, that doesn't
good.
become a thing. But that's actually insane.
Yeah, and it's scary. Like,
Yeah.
especially for girls that are, I feel like girls are a lot more independent now, younger than like I was.
Mm.
But so much independence comes from being able to buy that without ever seeing anybody, seeing a doctor, talking to your parent. Like, a kid can just go buy that and stuff it in their like mattress and just take it every day. And so I think it's a dangerous place, and I think more than anything, it's more now like a parent's job to know what's going on and how the side effects can really affect their daughters or their, whoever. But you don't think about that when you're 15.
Mm.
And so I get it. Like I was just like, I want it, I want it, I want it. But if someone sat me down and gave me a list of side effects at 15, I probably would have reconsidered
Mm.
if I knew. But I didn't. I was just like, oh, this is cool. This is what everyone does. You just do this, 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 and like now we're here. Um, and so yeah, I would just urge people to look at all your options. There's so many non-hormonal options that do the same exact thing and have 100% less harm on the body.
I want to go back to what you said about breakfast. I feel this is a hot topic over on TikTok where
Yes.
on what to eat. And, there's obviously everyone loves avocado and toast and, whether to make pancakes and all of this. So, what does it look like for a female to have a breakfast that is actually nutritious, that is balanced for our hormones? What does that look like? And why is an avocado on toast the best option to have for our breakfast?
Yeah, I get so much hate for this on TikTok, but it's true, so I understand. When you think about it, right? First things first is bread alone, whether it's like organic, it doesn't matter. Bread has zero nutritional value. Zero. We could go our whole life with never needing bread again. We love it because it tastes good, but we don't need it. And so the problem is that, for example, let's say 2 eggs, right? 2 eggs is only 12 grams of protein.
Mm.
If you have 1 egg, avocado, and a piece of toast, you've gotten 6 grams of protein for the next 5 hours until you eat again, right? Or when someone says, oh, I had a bagel, I'm like, zero protein, zero nutritional value, zero nothing. And so then they're like, I'm tired, I need a coffee. Of course you do, because your body has nothing to go off of. And so A lot of women will do bagels, they'll do breakfast sandwiches, they'll do, but the only thing that you guys need to be focused on is the amount of protein you are intaking. If you want to have a piece of toast, that's fine with 30 grams of protein.
Mm.
Sure, that's totally okay. So there's two ways you can go about it. Some women that work very early are like, I don't have time to cook a full breakfast. I don't really take that excuse. I think there's a million things you can do. You can make egg bites the night before in cupcake pans.
Yep.
You can have a protein shake. You can have a protein bar. Like there's so many other ways to get protein. I have the same breakfast every day unless it's Saturday or Sunday. I have eggs, I have steak, I have turkey sausage or turkey bacon, and then depending Saturday, Sunday, I'll have either one piece of sourdough or hash browns. But I will make sure before I ever eat a hash brown that I have gotten 30 grams of protein no matter what. I will say sometimes it gets hard to eat the same thing every day. So I get that. And so sometimes I'll do a protein shake because it's just easier. I don't feel as ick. Because sometimes when I have too many eggs, I get like, ew, I'm
I
grossed
get like
out.
that too. And then I put
I'm like, I
myself
can't have
off
another,
eggs.
yeah, like I can't have another egg for a week. So I'll do a protein shake, or I'll do a protein bar, or I'll find recipes that have 30 grams of protein. I just like to tell people, like when they say I made protein pancakes, sure, but most of the time, one or two pancakes is still not 15 grams
Yes.
of protein each. So you're still missing out on the amount of protein you need. Every one of my friends that I have told them to do this comes back and says, holy shit, my energy is next level. I feel so full. I'm not tired. I'm like, right. Like it is the most simple task, but if you don't think about it, you just eat your normal breakfast. Until you start thinking about protein, then you sit down and you're like, oh my God, this avocado toast has zero protein. This bagel has zero protein. And then it starts to weigh on you and you're like, wait, I did it again. And usually that's when people will make the shift. The thing is that people want convenience. And so a bagel is easier to make than eggs and steak and bacon and all that stuff. And so if you're that person that is in a rush in the morning, then I would either make your egg bites the night before and you can put all the things in there. Like I'm okay with sprinkling a little cheese in them if that's your vibe, peppers, onions, whatever. Make them the night before. That way you can pop them in the microwave and take them the next day, or a protein shake. And if you do have the convenience of cooking, then like yeah, why not make steak and eggs and all the good stuff because it tastes delicious and it's super, super good for you. So that's the biggest thing that I get is either the coffee or the breakfast. So many people will be like, oh, so like a blueberry muffin is like not it. I'm like, no, honey.
No,
That
it's
is
not.
sugar and more sugar, basically.
Yeah.
Sugar is the silent killer. It's not even about really the carbs because we burn carbs. It is the sugar that we intake on a daily basis that is ruining the body. Just like bagels, no nutritional value, and those carbs turn to sugar.
Mm.
Muffins, all sugar. Croissants, like when I go to the coffee shop in the morning, every single person is having a coffee and a treat, not a breakfast.
Yes.
I like it is mind blowing to me. I told my boyfriend when we were, maybe in like 10 years when I open a coffee shop, there will not be one pastry for breakfast. You want breakfast? You're getting steak and eggs. That's
Yeah.
on the menu. Small,
Yes.
medium, or large steak and eggs.
But
But
it's
it's
so true. Even the cafes around where I live, there's so many, and you see all of the 9 to 5 workers getting their coffee with a croissant or, a little pastry. And I'm like, you're starting your day with that. But I like that you've emphasized, the importance of making it convenient for yourself. But I think at the end of the day, and I had to have this conversation with myself, you need to
yeah,
understand what your priorities are. Because
yep,
when I was starting to heal my hormones and I was getting serious, this is one of the things that I had to focus on. Because, like I said, it was so easy for me to wake up my eyes, have some water and then have some coffee and then think about breakfast. But
yep,
then I wasn't always getting 30 grams of protein. And so I had to prioritize that. And yes, fortunately enough, I work for myself, I work from home, I can cook. but still sometimes I can't be bothered. It's so much
Yeah.
easier sometimes to wake up, to have some coffee. Like for me, when we started this interview, 6 a.m., it would have been so easy for me just to have coffee. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to have my breakfast first after this, and then I'm going to have coffee. I
Yep.
think the conversation is, if someone's listening and they're like, oh my God, that's too hard, or, I start work early, I can't be bothered. If you were trying to heal your hormones, look after your hormones, which you should anyway, as a
Yep.
female, if you are trying to look after your body, again, as you should, you need to make different priorities. And you said this as you get older, and now in my 30s, it's more of a priority than ever to do these things. Is it sometimes an inconvenience or I can't be bothered? Absolutely. Of
Yeah.
course it is. But then I think, and I always reflect on this, like my skin didn't just get miraculously better from a cream that I bought off TikTok shop. It got better because I healed my hormones, right? You can try everything under the sun, but I think the most important thing is I had to actually prioritize, what am I putting in my body? Am I getting tested? And this bit of a checklist for everyone. Am I learning about cycle syncing? What do my workouts look like? And I think you would agree. It's like if you are at this point in your journey as a woman, healing your hormones, you have hormonal acne, what are you prioritizing?
I think a lot of people don't like this answer, but I've said this since I started this whole journey is acne is an external symptom
Yeah.
of an internal issue.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to want to hear that, but it is. There is no acne gene that is passed down from your parents. You can be more acne prone, sure, but you didn't just get acne because your parents had acne. That's not how it works. And I also think with the whole coffee thing, most of the time, if I drink coffee before I eat, I'm not hungry
Yeah.
anymore. Like if I have coffee while I'm waiting for my breakfast, by the time my breakfast gets there, I'm not hungry anymore because it masks your hunger and now you're running on just coffee and that's where you get the cortisol spike, the blood sugar spike before you've even had any food. And so I try to limit myself to having coffee after 10:30. And it's also more enjoyable because I'm feeling good, I'm feeling stable, I can enjoy the coffee. Sometimes coffee gives people anxiety if they don't eat right away. And so, or if you guys do need to have something before breakfast, I'll even give you another hack is go for matcha. Matcha still has caffeine, but it's the total opposite of coffee. It's anti-inflammatory, it's full of antioxidants. You still get energy, but it's more stable. You don't have the crash because it's more natural. And so, like after Pilates tonight, I will be craving sugar because my body was just working out. And so normal me would be like, I need a sweet treat, I need a little cookie, cupcake, whatever. I only go and get a matcha and it immediately takes the craving. And I'm like, okay, we're stable, we're good. And I don't know why, maybe it's just like the post-workout endorphins. But after Pilates and after I have a matcha, I am like the happiest,
Mm, I
glowing
feel
person
that.
ever. I'm gonna go with the flow, whatever we want to do. My boyfriend's like, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, I don't even care.
Anything, whatever.
I just feel so like aligned and
Yeah.
stable. And I think a lot of women, no matter what, whether it's with PMS, acne, anxiety, there's a lot of times throughout the day where we don't feel stable emotionally, where we either feel anxiety, we feel stressed, we feel insecure, we feel these like roller coasters of emotions. And when you guys are able to find stability, it is like a new, like you're like reborn. And you're like this happy, giddy, go lucky version of yourself because everything is working how it should, because you're nourishing the body how it should be nourished. And so it's so worth it when you do it. Um, but yeah, there are days where I switch it up, but for the most part, I try to do things the same every day. I'm currently in the middle of getting things tested again. So new hormone panel, new GI map, new toxicity test. So I had to stop all of my supplements, but we'll see, what that brings. But it's important for me to get tested every year. Because I think we changed so much and my workouts have changed. And also for everyone listening, if you're on birth control, if you're not, when I started cycle syncing and I started eating more protein, is there gonna be video on this or just audio?
Yeah, video. Yeah.
Okay, just because you guys, I was 50 pounds heavier than I am right now. But once I started cycle syncing with diet, exercise, my activities, and my work, it was like game changing. When I understood what my cravings meant, when I was craving salty, it didn't mean I was craving chicken nuggets and fries. I was craving healthy fats. And so all of those little things, when you start to know them, it will change your world. So I just feel like a lot of people will say they have said like, oh, I gained so much weight when I came off the pill. And I know I'm gonna get backlash for this, but as much as your hormones and your thyroid affects your weight, you guys, most of the people that I've spoken to and worked with gained weight after they came off birth control because they never changed their eating habits.
Yeah, yep,
They're
agreed.
still eating bagels and muffins for breakfast.
Yep.
It's not, doesn't work like that. And so if that's you, I would urge you to look at what you eat every day for every meal and ask yourself, is when you sit down for breakfast, is this 30 grams of protein? When you sit down for lunch, is this 30 grams of protein? And if it's not, that's your answer, which most of the time is the answer.
The aim of the game is protein. That's what I
That's
think
it.
about every single meal.
Yep. I even tell I tell a lot of women too when they ask about exercise, I'm like, forget the actual exercise.
Mm.
Focus on the protein and go for a walk. And it will change your life. Like I didn't start really exercising consistently until probably about 6 months into my journey of healing my acne. At first, it was really just diet, food choices, craving choices, maybe a walk. And then once I found stability in that, then I started adding in the workout. So if you guys are listening to this and you're like,
Mm.
oh my God, I need to work out, I need to cycle sync, I need to do this, like take it slow and focus on your meals. And just go for an easy walk, whether it's on a treadmill or around your block. I know it's getting cold in some places. And that alone will change your life. And then after you found stability in that, then you can go and start adding in, whatever workouts you want to do. Um, but yeah, the only other thing I wanted that came into my head so I don't forget is when you guys are supplementing,
Mm.
you've heard us talk about it before, but like it is so, so important that you guys are only taking supplements that you need and that you're deficient in and that you're low in because it does not help the body. There's no like perk of taking too much vitamin B12. Like there's no, it does reach a level of like, hey, weird thing, I'm feeling weird things in my body. I'm getting acne again. And it's because you never needed B12.
Mm.
You needed, zinc or you needed other things. And so that's the biggest thing is I would say is get tested if you can, or if you can't, don't take random supplements just to take them, or the ones that say like this one supplement is for hormonal acne that literally, if you say that out loud, literally doesn't make any sense. Like,
It
I don't understand how,
infuriates me because there's so much on TikTok, and they get
yeah,
all these views and all these comments. Oh my God, I'm going to try this, try this. And I think it's, the most important thing is to get tested from this point. And I say that from experience, from someone who was just taking supplements because I'm like, oh my God, this has to work. But until I actually knew what was happening with my body, like you don't actually know. And one thing I just want to say as an extension of everything you said is I think one of the best things that has happened since I've implemented all of these, and I love that you emphasize, start slow, or else you're going to get overwhelmed and you're probably going to be like, I can't be bothered with this. This is too hard. Start slow. But
yeah,
one of the best things that has happened implementing all of this, and it truly does become a habit where you're not
mhm,
thinking, oh my God, cycle syncing. Okay, which phase am I in? What am I doing? Okay,
right,
protein, right? You start to learn, you adapt to it. But I got more in tune with my body. I got more in
mhm,
tune with what I actually need and how I'm actually feeling. And you're so right. It's like, when things are happening in your body, what phases you're in, what you need, and you can trust yourself. I think that's the biggest thing is, as women, we want to be go, 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 but you can trust yourself if, okay, no, I actually do need to take a nap today. Or I can go, go, go because I'm ovulating and I'm feeling good and I'm going to do all this
yeah,
and I'm going to do my first run for the month because I feel so good. So I think one of the biggest things from healing your hormones, and it is a continuous journey, is trusting yourself and trusting your body and getting in tune with your body.
yeah, I agree. And also too, just because there'll be so many different people that listen, you guys, it's never gonna be one size fits all for anything. And so if we're saying, go for runs when you're ovulating, if you feel maybe differently, that's okay. And so the whole point of what we're saying is to know your body versus guessing. It's going to be different. There are some friends of mine that on day one of their period, they're like, I feel great. I have so much energy. And me and some other friends are like, I'm feeling low. I have fatigue. I'm feeling a little brain fog. I'm feeling exhaustion. And so take everything, obviously, with a grain of salt of just having foundational things that will help you. But overall, like you have to know what's going on with your body alone. And you should want to know. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is you guys should want to know what's going on. You should want to know why you feel this way. You should want to know why you're having such debilitating menstrual cycles. Like, know those things and find someone that can give you not just the answer of why, but a plan on how to fix it. Because I feel like so many women are like, okay, I'm estrogen dominant. Now what? Kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so that's why I always pick companies and places that do the testing and the review and the game plan under one roof. Because other than that, like I don't know what to do about any of
That's
this. Like,
important. That's a good
yeah,
point. Yeah, try to look for, yeah, that's a very good point because yeah, where I went was it was all under one roof. But I know there are people that just do the testing and they're like, there you go, there's your results.
right. And you're like, well, what now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important. This has been such an insane conversation. I think this is going to help so many women out there to understand and probably change things, even if it's like a small thing or a big thing, like 30 grams of protein every meal, which I advocate for. And when I end a podcast, I have a bunch of questions and I pick one to ask my podcast guests. And I think I'm going to ask you this one. If you were a cocktail or a mocktail, what would you be and why?
Mm. If I was a cocktail, I would be something with tequila because it's the
Yes.
best for
Yes.
you. Best for your hormones, best for sugar, all of that stuff. So maybe like a tequila. Okay, I'm gonna say something crazy that
Okay.
I think you'll understand. I am somebody, not anymore. Let me, I used to be somebody that when I don't drink anymore. When I did drink though, I was always a vodka water
Mm,
drinker. Like I never was a like cranberry vodka or like tequila sunrise because the sugar would make me feel nauseous. So tequila, like I would do a straight like tequila club soda lime and just
yeah.
let it go at that. Now, if I was a mocktail, I would do like an Aperol spritz mocktail or a
Nice.
something that is like fruity without alcohol. But yeah, I would say if you guys are drinkers, that's another thing. So important actually, really quick is if you're a drinker, like if you're in college or high school or even just in your 20s, 30s and you drink, you need to change the type of alcohol that you drink. Especially, I would cut out alcohol in your luteal phase because of how taxing it is on the liver during the time of kind of prepping the body to menstruate. So if you're not going to cut out alcohol altogether, I would 1000% cut it out
Yeah.
between that luteal phase because it's so taxing on the liver. And if you are going to, I would opt for a tequila drink because it's the cleanest form of alcohol, even though alcohol is not clean, but you know what I mean.
Mm. Just do a straight shot and then you're good to go.
Honestly, yeah, just rip a straight shot of
Yeah.
tequila. You'll be drunk in 2 shots and you'll be fine.
Exactly. And then you don't need to sip, it's done. That was a great
Exactly.
answer. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You have given so many insights. Where can everyone follow you? It will be down below, but what's the best to connect with you?
Yeah, Instagram or TikTok is the best. If you're looking for straight hormone, acne, skincare stuff, more TikTok. If you're looking for that plus lifestyle, relationship, all of that, Instagram. But I am an open book on both. So if you guys have any questions, my DMs are always open.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, my love.
Absolutely. It was so nice to chat with you.